Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Clements, and welcome to the Verne Lundquist Sports Media Institute Boot Camp. What an exciting time. And right now, let me welcome one of the greatest sportscasters of our time, Verne Lundquist. Verne, how are you? And this boot camp is fantastic for these young people. Just first of all, your impressions of what's going on the UT campus. And I know you've got to be excited about this, the fruition of all the planning with all the great people behind the Lundquist Institute.
Well, it's just overwhelming, Ed, really. Just as you were chatting there, introducing me, I thought back to my junior high school days at University Junior High, located on Red River Drive. And my first ever exposure to radio came when my 8th grade speech teacher got a call from Radio House on the UT campus. And they said, we have a need for a boy whose voice has not changed to come over here. We do tape recorded 30-minute laboratory sessions, pre-recorded 30-minute plays, radio plays. And we need a 10-year-old Indian boy. And she said, I've got the guy for you. And my first time ever in a radio studio was at Radio House at UT. And I still have a certificate that they gave me at the completion of the year. Every Tuesday, we'd go over there. My dad would drive me over and pick me up at 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I just was enthralled with that experience. So I can trace my beginning all the way back to when I was 13 years old. And, then you go from there and there's a lot of this and a lot of this and a lot of this. And here we are. And I'm really astounded at the opportunity to be a part of this venture.
Did you always want to be a sportscaster? I know you said you'd love to be on the radio, but in your wildest dreams, did you ever know you'd become one of the nation's premier sportscasters and sports play-by-play men?
No, gosh, no. No. I think you know my story, but I'll share it briefly. I'll be a little more brief. I graduated from Texas Lutheran University in 1962, and I was best description of me would be a man with an unclear purpose. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had a major in sociology and a minor in history, and I'd grown up in a Lutheran minister's home. And so for lack of any aim, any specific goal, I thought, well, I had this concept in my head of becoming radio, television involved, produce radio, television plays with a religious background to them. And I was in contact with a man at Union Theological Cemetery. No, that comes later in life. Union Theological Seminary in New York City. And I outlined what my hopes were. And he said, I think you should go to theological school and get the practical experience and then launch your intention. Excuse me. So I spent 1 year at the Lutheran School of Theology in Rock Island, Illinois, and realized 6 weeks in that I didn't have the commitment nor a fully formed belief system. And I knew it was not my destiny at all. And so I fulfilled the year. I've got 18 hours of credit in some microfilm somewhere, including 6 hours of Greek. But I landed a job at KDBC. Cactus Prior, legendary Cactus Prior, hired me for the summer of '63. And one thing led to another. And in August, he said, I asked him if I could, the sports job opened up at Channel 7, what was then CBS. And I said, I'd like to audition. And he said, but you're going back to school in the fall. I said, not so fast, Gonzalez. And anyway, saw the audition, gave me a radio television job, a combination of disc jockey, Monday through Friday, and weekend sports. That led to his offer of to me of becoming a full-timer. I'll never forget when I told my dad, Lutheran minister, pastor of Gethsemane Lutheran Church in Austin, what my decision was. And I said, I hope you're not disappointed. He said, what perks do you have? And I said, well, and this was the old times. The rules are a lot different now. I said, I get two season tickets to Texas football games. And he folded his arms. He said, the Lord works in mysterious ways.
When you were at KTBC, you did everything. I know you shot film, you edited film, you did the interviews, you did it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing now with this boot camp, it's so special because these young students are going to get a lot of that training with the professionals I work with, like our friend Bob Ballou, like our friend Cedric Golden, the podcasters and stuff. How advantageous would that have been to you to have a boot camp like we have now with the Lundquist Institute?
Oh my gosh, yeah, because what I had, Ed, was on the job training. And I had no one else on the staff. It was me. And we had a fellow who was another disc jockey named Phil Miller, who came in and did the weekends. I think Phil just passed away 3 or 4 years ago. But I did, honest to God, I did everything. And I remember going on the Southwest Conference press tour, the old 8-member Southwest Conference press tour. And Bill Mercer, who became the radio play-by-play and my sidekick, or I was his sidekick on Cowboy radio broadcast. Bill was there representing KRLD in Dallas. And the two of us, we did a bus tour until we flew to Arkansas from Lubbock. But we did on the bus, we get to say Rice University, and we go out on the football field, and we would pace off and put an X on the floor, on the grass, and then go back, put the mic down with a cord, go back, start the camera, frame it, and then run back, and then we'd go 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Verne, and I'm Bill. Everything. I'd have to edit the tape, and this was true. I was in Austin for 3 years, in San Antonio for a year, and then the big break I got was on my third try. I was hired by Channel 8 in Dallas, the ABC affiliate. But even then, I was a one-man band for the longest time. And to have the opportunity that these young people have was something, I've got mixed feelings about that, because I did learn the business from the ground up, and I learned every facet of it. I had to edit my own film, 16 millimeter film, no videotape. My gosh, what are you talking about? What? Joe Roddy was the radio news director at KDBC Radio, and he used to have a picture. He had a pronounced disdain for television, and he had a framed statement on the office wall in his little cubicle. The Lord never meant for pictures to fly through the air. And that was his philosophy. But I know it's an advantage for the people in the boot camp to have access to all this technology. But on the other hand, I think I just learned and absorbed and widened my awareness by doing it all myself.
You spent many years as a television sportscaster. When did the bug hit you? Said, hey, I want to be a play-by-play man. I want to be out there at the games. When did that happen to you?
When I looked in the mirror. And I thought, but I'm being a little facetious, but I never envisioned myself as a studio guy. When I big break going to Dallas, bigger break getting to become a part of the Cowboy broadcast. And I started as a pregame and postgame and halftime host. That's and then ultimately moved to the color job with Bill Mercer. And then when Bill took a baseball job, I moved to number one. But I realized being a part of the Cowboy radio broadcast was stimulating. And they were pretty good in the 70s. Got to go to 5 Super Bowls with them, and they won 2 of them. Dadgum Pittsburgh Steelers. I still hold a grudge. Terry Bradshaw and I remained good friends. We worked together for 4 years. And we thought when we first were paired, that was somebody's idea of irony. Here's the 4-time Super Bowl champion quarterback of Pittsburgh and the Cowboys radio play-by-play job. But it worked. And I just felt enervated by being at the games. I knew that was where I wanted to wind up. So fortunately, it all worked out.
What was the biggest piece of advice that Bill Mercer gave you or other play-by-play men gave you? I think back to my friend Frank Fallon, who I used to meet with. I used to meet with you and talk to you. Brad Sham as a young broadcaster, Jack Dale from Lubbock. What was the best piece of advice that some of the older guys gave you about play-by-play?
Well, I'll give you the advice I was given by my mentor. And young people, even people, the generation after me, probably don't remember his name. His name was Frank Gleber, and Frank lived in Dallas. That's how we became good friends. And Frank was a CBS NFL broadcaster. He did everything. He did everything at CBS while maintaining a position as KRLD sports talk show host. And we sat down and chatted about what my aspirations were. And he said, word of advice, don't turn anything down. If they ask you to do it, whatever it is, learn the jargon, learn the rules, get a VHS or a DVD, watch it, and borrow liberally. And as I took that advice, and so when I was lucky enough, first of all, to get to ABC, and I was there for 8 years in a peripheral basis, never full time, and especially at CBS. If they wanted me to do weightlifting, I did weightlifting. And I worked with Bruce Wilhelm. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to weightlifting, but I had it on my resume. I got to travel the world, Ed. I did boxing in Tokyo, boxing in Moscow, boxing in East Germany, figure skating in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, around the world, 3 Olympics. And it was Frank's advice. And I golf. I was never a low handicap golfer. The best I ever achieved was 20 years ago. I got to 14. And then I got arthritis in my thumbs, and I thought better I could talk about it than play it. And but that was and you learn and you expand your horizons, and it's challenging, but it gives you so many opportunities to prove your mettle. That's what I took from it.
You have told me many times one of your keys, and I've talked to other broadcasters like my late friend Ron Franklin and Brad Sham, and now our friend Craig Way, play-by-play man for the Longhorns, Bill Schoening from San Antonio. They all tell me, and we've all done this, and I think you believe this, preparation, preparation, preparation for the broadcast. Explain that for our campers.
Well, sure, I'd be glad to. You can never, if you treat this like a weekend job, say goodnight. And the amount of preparation, my dad was, as I've said now, was a Lutheran minister. And he told me once in the 20-minute sermon that he would deliver on Sunday mornings at the 11 o'clock service, he would spend 1 hour of study for every minute of the sermon. And I applied that to what I was doing for a living. You cannot over prepare. and it's a process of reading. Now it's so much easier than it was my day, because you have access to the internet. And I mean, I still can't remember passwords to get on the internet, but in the old days, you just had to read and write notes, legal tablets, and jot down notes, and I would begin. Let's take the real highlight for me of a 60-year career was the last 20 years, and that I was active. I'm still working one event a week, but it's a pretty good one, the Masters. But I saw you there, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
this year. I just we would and doing college football. I'd take Sunday off. That was a regeneration day, and usually traveling to get back home from wherever we had been assigned. Monday it starts, and Monday I begin the preparation of a depth chart. This is football we're talking about. Depth chart, names and numbers, height, weight, interests, and then I would memorize this 3 deep by walking and talking out loud here in Steamboat Springs, where Nancy and I live. We have a beautiful jogging trail or walking trail or bike trail along the river that comes through our town. And I would walk and mumble and memorize. And then you read. And again, I envy the young people who are listening to us, because they do have access to this information so much more readily than we did. But you can't over prepare. And then for us, just as an example, Thursdays was a travel day, getting to and from wherever we were assigned. Friday was filled with meetings, and again, hypothetically, football. Let's say it's Auburn, Alabama. And at the games in Tuscaloosa, you would meet on a Zoom call now, or on a phone with the head coach, the offensive coordinators, 4 or 5 players. That's where the personal anecdotes come in those conversations or in reading. Saturday, you show up and you do the game. And you, in the SEC, you can't get out on Saturday night. And try getting a nonstop from Tuscaloosa to Steamboat Springs. That doesn't happen. So Sunday was a travel day. And then you start the process all over again the next week. But yeah, I would stress again and again and again and again. There's no such thing as too much preparation. And if you dust your hands, say, "Oh, I got this," and it's only Tuesday, it ain't going to happen.
You've had a history of great relationship with not only athletes, but coaches. Talk about that. And how did you develop those friendships? Because you've known them all and you've had a great relationship with many of the best of all time. Talk about how you built that trust with the athletes and those coaches.
Well, I think in never being deceptive, and if someone said to me, "This is off the record," put it off the record, and it, use whatever the information is that you've gleaned out of this conversation, put it on the back burner. Be candid with the coaches and the players. And you're absolutely right, Ed. I mean, I've had more than 50 football analysts. The number of basketball analysts is in the 30s. I've only had one figure skating partner, but he was a pretty good one. That's Scott Hamilton, who won the '84 men's Olympic figure skating championship, gold medal. But then I think if you get along, there's something about a television camera that reaches in and grabs the essence of the person who's speaking into it. I don't mean to get gobbledygook here, ooh, but I think it's true. I think if you perceive someone whom you're watching on television as a good guy or a good woman, I'd say 90% of the time you're going to be right. And if you think the guy's a little bit off center or a little arrogant or a little pompous, welcome to my world. But I just, it's some kind of ethereal thing that goes on with, and what I would do, I would talk through the camera. I'm not doing this now. I'm talking to you. But when, say, we're doing a national telecast, I never envisioned how many people. It never was a concern to me. I was talking to my wife, Nancy, on the other side of the camera, and I think that helped me to be conversational, and that's just the style. There are guys now who I won't name names, but they open the broadcast and they're talking like this. Where do you go from there? Cut it back a little bit, and when it's appropriate, juice it up. But I'm smiling because I know who I'm thinking about. And you'll recognize him. He's a nationally known, him, not just one person. But I have always preferred someone who is a little more casual. Just, it's my style.
Verne, you've done college football, you've done pro football, you've done boxing, you've done figure skating. What arena, what sport did you gain the most pleasure doing? Can you tell us that? Was it college football? Was it golf? You've had so many wonderful moments. Was it the Christian Laettner in the Duke Kentucky game? What was it?
The beauty of what I've done since 1963 is a change of seasons, because you anticipate in the summer, you anticipate the start of football season. But by the time in the NFL, it's in February or January. In college football, by the time you get to December, you're thinking, I can't wait to go to basketball. And then basketball is all consuming until the end of March. And in the meantime, golf has started. I'm still doing the one event, the Masters Golf Telecast. But I still probably, if you just put me down on a heavy board and say, okay, now, candor. I would say the most comfortable for me is football. I grew up with it. I saw my first football game in Austin. University of Texas were playing at home against Notre Dame at what was not then Darrell Kenneth Royal Memorial Stadium. It was just whatever it was in '52, and I sold Cokes in the north end zone, $5 bottle, no cans, and you'd have a big wash tub, and you go down and get your tub and lug it around, and then you finish usually at the end of the third quarter, and two or three other guys and me, we would sneak around, take the stairs up to the 50-yard line, and if there were empty seats, we were in them. But that was my first memory of a college football game, and I got hooked on it. And it's interesting because I have done the NFL, and I've had great broadcast partners, Terry Bradshaw, Dan Fouts, Pat Hayden, on and on and on and on. But I still feel more comfortable with college football. That's been my love all my life. And it goes back to UT and Notre Dame in '52.
As we close out this event, what would you like to tell the campers, and what would you like to see them glean from what they're going to learn from some of the great broadcasters and podcasters and writers that they'll be involved with in the coming days?
Well, now we live in an age where young people, I'm talking to you young people, you don't aspire to start as a weekend sports guy in Wichita Falls or a radio disc jockey in Brownwood. now you grow up and say, well, I want to do Sports Center. It doesn't work that way unless you're very, very, very gifted. And among the most gifted is one of my pals and colleagues, Jim Nance. He worked the Masters when he was 26 years of age. He is the only person who's ever done that. And he's still the best golf host, I think, that is alive. No, you do grunt work and be prepared for that. I think, and especially in today's environment where the competition is so overwhelmingly strong, you've got to start at the bottom, and you work hard, you prepare, you accept whatever assignment you've got, and then don't be disappointed, overwhelmed with disappointment if you get rejected the first time. I mentioned it in passing. I was in San Antonio, and I took 1 year and did news. I thought, sports, what a frivolous thing. I don't want to be a part of that. I got to do something important with my life. So I went to WOAI in San Antonio, and for 1 year, 11 months actually, I worked the 6 and 10. I co-anchored the evening news with a guy from Los Angeles named Mike Henry. And but I knew that was not me. And I missed being around athletics, sports. So I auditioned for a job at WFAA in Dallas. I was turned down once. I went back 2 months later when the job reopened. A fellow was hired, and then he moved on. I think he was let go. It just didn't work out. I applied again. I didn't get the job. It went to a guy who had ultimately a great influence in my life. He got the job. He was a sports anchor at KTEM in Temple, Killeen. Name was Dave Lane. He got the job. And so I'm 0 for 2. And Dave and I were friends. We had been on the Southwest Conference tour the last year together. And he and his wife, Jeannie, became pregnant with their first child, or she did. And he called me and he said, I don't want to work to 10 o'clock. I want to be around when our child is born because I want to be a parent. And he said, I'm going to recommend you for the job. This is the guy who had gotten the job in front of me. And gracious, my gosh, he was. And I loved him. We lost him at a very early age in his 50s. But I'm everlastingly grateful for his little push and his recommendation that I get the job. So you'll be challenged, but accept this as a part of the growth pattern, that they're going to be steps forward, 3 and 2, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Do it again. Just be resilient, all of you who want to do this. It is, Ed, you and I cherish what we get to do. I cherish it. I wake up, we live in a beautiful town, and we have a great home. I'm looking out this way right now at Mount Warner. This is our ski area. We're right at the base of it. And we cherish every moment that we got lucky. And we've lived in the same home now since 1990. But it's because I think I was resilient. I had 8 years at ABC Sports, and Nancy and I were about to get married. We celebrated our 40th anniversary, if you recall, with you and Scotty Sayers and Ben Crenshaw on Friday, the 8th of April this year. And it was because I had setbacks. I mean, I was 40 years old, and I got a call from New York from ABC Sports, and you're a proverbial square peg in a round hole. We're moving in a different. I was not re-upped, and that was a challenging time. But took a chance. CBS took a chance on me. There's a song by ABBA, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've elaborated beyond expected length.
No, it's things that everybody needs to know, especially want to go in the sportscasting business. Thank you for your time. This has been fun, and this is really a culmination of a lot of people all over town with the Lundquist Sports Media Institute. And congratulations to you, Verne. And thanks for your time. And for the campers out there, learn, and be like Verne Lundquist. Be like Verne Lundquist.
Eddie, you're so kind. Good luck to all of you. Good luck to all of you.